Hello there, good evening, and thanks for joining us on today's news bulletin. This is the evening news right from our studios at the John Evans Theatre Mills High Street in Accra. We are also streaming live on Facebook at Adoatv Ghana, on YouTube at Adoatv GH, and around the world at adoanewsonline.com. This is where we give to you trending issues that made headlines throughout the week in 30 minutes. The news is proudly sponsored by Asatec Roofing Sheet and Cookware, Blue City Ties and Accessories, and Verna Mineral Water. Now, coming up in this bulletin, First Deputy Speaker has revealed that there's nothing wrong with his decision to vote. Also in this bulletin, we'll bring to you happenings in Parliament, the controversies, the drama, and the boycott, and all that followed the 2022 budget statement. Later, Adoatv gets result following the dilapidated classroom report that we televised a time ago in Nabori. We have the details to that and more right on the news bulletin. Do stay. Thanks for staying with us. Remember, this is your hub of comprehensive and compendious news update. My name is Jonathan. I'm now to our very first story. First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei-Wusu, yesterday, a time ago, threw out a motion moved by Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu, which sought to set aside the approval of the 2022 budget on November 30, 2021, when the minority dissolved proceedings of the House. The minority leader says the event leading to the approval of the budget in itself is the betrayal of the standing orders of Parliament and the 1992 Constitution. However, the First Deputy Speaker says these were all arguments he had heard prior to the motion, and that his decision to join the majority in voting for the motion to approve the budget was not wrong, adding that the First and Second Deputy Speakers are members of Parliament and as such have every right to vote, hence throwing out the motion of the minority leader.
At the time appointed for the purpose under Order 53 Order of Business, any member may, with the pre-approval of Mr. Speaker, move a motion on a specific matter of urgent public importance. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, as is reported by the rules and proceedings which has just been adopted by you, I'm begging to move, with your indulgence, that the decision which was taken yesterday in adopting purportedly a budget statement subject to concessions in that statement was unconstitutional, in betrayal of our rules and standing orders, and in betrayal of the 1992 Constitution. Mr. Speaker, particularly so that you in the chair added yourself to the number of members who made a quorum. May I, with respect, Mr. Speaker, refer you to Order 48 of our standing orders. From the comfort of my offices, invoke the same standing orders. You are what? You invoke the same standing orders. I'm doing the same. Mr. Speaker, take your notes, Max. You cannot be here. Mr. Speaker, let me refer you to Order 48.1, which reads, the presence of at least 1/3 of all the members of Parliament besides the person presiding shall be necessary to constitute a quorum for the House. So, Mr. Speaker, even adding yourself to the quorum yesterday itself is in betrayal of our standing order 48.1. I believe that there was any written statement seeking to use Order 51 by the majority leader. Mr. Speaker, let me also, with respect, refer you to our standing order 109. Mr. Speaker, standing order 109 reads, and I'm interested, Mr. Speaker, in 1092. You were presiding. and therefore, by the provisions of Standing Order 30, you assume the role and responsibility of the Speaker of Parliament of Ghana. And it reads, Mr. Speaker shall have neither an original nor a custom vote. And if upon any question before the House, the votes are equally divided, the motion shall be lost.
Heard anything here today which was not discussed yesterday. All the arguments that have been made were practically the arguments and the issues raised and discussed and contained in my ruling yesterday. There are a few matters, though, which I wish to clarify. First, it must be clear that a deputy speaker is not a speaker.
Now, away from that, the minority in parliament have served notice that in the coming days, many motions, businesses and decisions of the August House will be taken by vote and consensus. Speaking to the media after the chaos in parliament on Wednesday, December 1, Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu noted that the days of mobocracy is over. The Tamale South lawmaker observed that the majority caucus was taken by surprise by the happenings and should expect more surprises in the coming days.
You don't rule on a motion. The motion was accommodated. The motion was seconded. It was debated. All he needed to do was for the House to decide. But they knew that on their side, their numbers were not enough. It's to remind President Akufo-Addo and the majority leader that majority in parliament is majority present and voting. Not majority outside the precincts, the chamber, in the skies. No, members are present and voting. That is what the Constitution contemplated, even in Article 104. You know, and we took them by surprise, and we'll be taking them by surprise in the coming days. In the coming days, many other motions will come by vote. Many other decisions will come by vote. I have cautioned that we mean well, because the economy of this country certainly should not collapse on any of us, not even on President Nana Akufo-Addo. That cannot be my wish. But he must govern with respect to the law and the Constitution. The first Deputy Speaker must respect our standing orders and respect the provisions of the Constitution. When I said except otherwise as provided in the Constitution, if you come and read 104, and it provides except otherwise as provided in the Constitution, it simply says respect what is in 102. Otherwise, it has already been provided for on that matter. Therefore, respect it. So, our democracy should not suffer. We will demonstrate that from today, as I said, the business of parliament, I will subject it to a new standard. And the new standard will be that on critical matters, vote. If they are more than us, they are more than us. If we are more than them, we are more than them. So they should know that the days of mobocracy is over, mob rule. The days when they disrespected us as an insignificant minority is over. And that the Parliament of Ghana must be respected. I'm particularly appalled that the Deputy Speaker, who ought to be holding the back of the Speaker, will abandon him midstream. You know, let me share this joke with you. Like Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia been told tomorrow to act as president, then he does a reshuffle. That's what they are doing. When do people question it? When do you question it?
So that was Haruna Idrisu, the minority speaker of Ghana's parliament there. Away from that, let's still stay in parliament. Member of Parliament for Boku Central, Mahama Ayariga, in a press briefing has indicated that the motion moved by Majority Leader Haruna Idrisu that the House rescinded the decision it took on the 2022 budget on Tuesday has not been ruled upon. The honorable member cited from the vote and proceedings of Wednesday, 1st October 2021, that a question was proposed, debate arose and concluded. However, the Speaker only sought to give a ruling but did not rule.
A motion had been moved by the Honorable Minority Leader, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, and seconded by my good self. Whether or not such a motion was moved, if you recall, and members of the majority group side, in their various media engagements, sought to create an impression that the Speaker had not accepted that a motion had been moved. We were quietly waiting for the votes and proceedings of yesterday to be reported today so that we'll see what it says about events in the House yesterday. And fortunately, we have the votes and proceedings for yesterday, which is before us. And if you go to page 9 of the votes and proceedings, it records that when it came to the business of motions, that there was a motion, and the motion reads that this Honorable House rescinds the decision it took on the budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2022 on Tuesday, 30th November 2021. Then the votes and proceedings reports that motion moved by the Honorable Minority Leader, Mr. Haruna Idrisu, and seconded by the Honorable Member for Boku Central, Mr. Mahama Ayariga. Question proposed, debate arising, debate concluded. So it is clear from the votes and proceedings of yesterday that the motion was moved, that it was seconded, that the question was proposed by the Speaker, that there was a debate, and that the debate was concluded. Then it now reports that the Honorable First Deputy Speaker sought to give a ruling which was interrupted following an uproar in the chamber. So it then reports that he sought to give a ruling. So that means that he didn't give a ruling. He sought to give a ruling. And then there was an uproar, and that interrupted the process. And then he suspended sitting at 2:25 p.m. Sitting resumed at 4:45 p.m. And then the second Deputy Speaker took the chair, and then he adjourned sittings for the day. So we just want you to pay attention to the votes and proceedings reporting the events of yesterday and then what it says. So the implication of this is that the motion moved by Honorable Haruna Idrisu and seconded by my good self is still pending, and what is left is a vote to be put to the House. The question to be put to the House for a vote to be taken, and then we will vote on the matter. If the Speaker decides that he wants to rule on it, as you can see, he hasn't ruled on it yet. He sought to, but it was arrested, and then he left. There was a suspension of sitting. So basically, that is what it is. We just want to draw attention to this fact because we know that this weekend on Saturday, on all the media outlets, there will be discussions, and then the question will be whether or not a motion was moved, and whether or not a ruling was given by Mr. Speaker, and whether or not it should be a ruling or the issue should be a vote that should end the process. So we just want to clarify this before you disperse. Thank you.
Meanwhile, the House has been adjourned to Tuesday, December 7th, 2021.
Just to put the question, as many as are in favor of the motion to adjourn the House till Tuesday, 10 a.m., say aye. Those against the motion say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. The House is hereby adjourned to Tuesday, 10.
Still on matters pertaining to the 2022 budget statement, the National Democratic Congress has justified its decision to boycott parliamentary proceedings on Tuesday, November 30, 2021. According to the group, precedents leading to the approval of the 2022 policy document by the majority group makes it unconstitutional. Reacting to this, some Ghanaians condemned actions of both the majority and minority caucuses. The most topical issue currently in the country is the controversy and drama surrounding the 2022 budget statement.
Ghana's Parliament House, the August House where the controversies, the drama has been transpiring over the last 96 hours, with many individuals sharing their opinions and thoughts on how the initial rejection and subsequent approval of the 2022 policy document has been so far. Now, yesterday in Parliament, the majority leader moved a motion for recession of what had happened on Friday, November 26, 2021. This motion was adopted and approved, hence the subsequent motion was moved for the approval of the 2022 policy documents. This has been greeted with several mixed reactions, with many criticizing what has happened or transpired within the last few hours at the August House.
Now, I think this is going to help this country as a whole. Because in Ghana or in the country where the people are speaking, you have to listen to the voice of the people so that you work hand in hand with whatever can be doing. We appointed them there not because of majority or majority, but for the movement of the country. So if we cannot help in moving the country forward, it is better we stay put and listen to whatever thing we have to say so that when the time comes for us to vote, we choose whether to vote or not to vote. I mean, things like they don't care about the economy, they don't know. But now the minority buy profit. But the same people who complain that you want the place because this people do type of it. And then we need you guys to be there to be present to fight for the country. I know that I think that boycotting it. And what's reason? It doesn't make sense. I mean, I think they are just playing the citizens. They're just playing it. I think they already made up their mind to naturally implement it. And it's benefit them too, because once there is inflation, there is people are being taxed to get it. It's governmental money. And it goes to the people who work for the government. Their pay are being increased. But we at the private sector who are working to also, take care of our families here and there, it's a first at the most. So this whole minority and majority thing, I think they know what they are doing. Nobody cares about the country. You couldn't even see. There's so many things, there's so many things.
Meanwhile, the Member of Parliament for German North, Frederick Yao Ahenkwa, has justified the move by the NDC MPs to boycott sitting on Tuesday, November 30, 2021.
We are in a democratic state. And what happened yesterday was an illegality. So we didn't want to partake in that illegality. If they had listening ears, they should have reviewed the budget and then included all these things before coming to us.
According to the lawmaker, the minority caucus has never regretted its action.
We have not regretted from what we did, and we know what we are doing exactly. Okay? No budget has been turned. We rejected the budget, and we know the budget is a rejected one. But what they claim our numbers couldn't do, the 137 couldn't do. They cannot equally do the same thing with that 137. Yes, we have not regretted at all because we want to fight for Ghanaians. Until our claims are heeded to, we will never concede until they do the needful. The needful is that Ghanaians are already burdened. We will not be part of them to add more souls to the injury.
Now, away from politics and issues regarding to the 2022 budget statement, social media sensation Ekuapin Polo is to go back to the Sawan medium security prison to complete her 90-day jail sentence. This follows the dismissal of the appeal against the sentence by the Criminal Division of the High Court. The presiding judge, Justice Ruby Aite, held that the sentence as handed down by the Accra Circuit Court last April was not on the face of it excessive and will thus not be interfered with. The following report has more.
Rosemond Alade Brown, popularly known as Ekuapin Polo, is a controversial social media personality who landed herself in trouble when she posted notes of her then 7-year-old son on social media in an unusual celebration style. She was said to have violated the dignity and right of her son. Her subsequent 90-day jail term sentence was, however, described by her lawyers as harsh and thus appealed against it.
It's harsh for me, very difficult situation for me now, considering the High Court upholding the sentence imposed on the appellants from the Circuit Court. In both our addresses, the prosecution and the defense attorney were almost unanimous that the sentence imposed on her, was harsh. They made it in the address clearly that it's harsh. The son that the law seeks to protect, it's going to make life very difficult for the child. In the absence of the mother, they've clinged together for quite a long time. They've jailed for a long time now. That separation is going to cause the child more harm than good. Well, I don't intend to go further to the Court of Appeal. We just take it as the High Court decides.
But in an apparent defense of the trial court, Justice Aite observed that it is apparent on the face of the trial document that the trial judge exercised her discretion judiciously. Justice Aite was of the view that the trial court considered all mitigating factors put up by the appellant's lawyer and in the appeal. The trial judge also considered all the aggravating factors, yet imposed the custodial sentence. In the considered view of Her Ladyship, the trial judge imposed a harsh sentence to serve as a deterrent to others from committing the same crime. The High Court thus ordered that the child at the center of the prosecution should be given to another family member who is competent enough to take care of him.
Interesting. In some other developments, the Medina Member of Parliament, Francis Xavier Sosu, joined his constituents in Ayimensa, Damfa, and Otinibi in a demonstration over poor roads on Monday, October 25, 2021. During the protest, some of the protesters allegedly blocked roads, burned ties, and destroyed some public property. Matters and issues have been arising after the Member of Parliament, who has provisionally been charged for unlawful blocking of public road and the destruction of public property, failed to appear in court for the third time. However, a Kaneshie District Court on Monday, November 29, issued a bench warrant for the arrest of Francis Xavier Sosu, the Member of Parliament for Medina. Members of the NDC has described the motion by the court to be unconstitutional. Speaking to lawyer Agbute, he clearly explained whether or not his arrest was constitutional.
For the arrest of the Member of Parliament is unconstitutional is one that doesn't have to arise at all. Because the NDC made up of lawyers, seasoned lawyers that I know. And they know that there is a saying, apart from the provisions of the laws, there is this axiom in law that says that crime vitiates all. What it means is that even if you have immunities, if you have exemptions, once you go committing crime, you surrender all those exemptions and immunities. Immediately, crime is alleged or is committed. For instance, we have a fundamental human right of freedom to movement and freedom to speech. But immediately you have aberrations with the law, your freedom to movement is stopped immediately. You are arrested. And your freedom to speech, you'll be warned to even talk. They will tell you that, look, you are supposed to remain silent. But if you want to say anything, you can go ahead. But anything you say will be used as evidence against you in court. That's a caution to you before you even start talking. Even though you have the freedom of speech, freedom to speak, but you have to be cautioned before you talk. So you are even discouraged from talking, or you are even restricted from talking. So these human rights that we have, immediately crime is alleged or crime is committed, they have vitiated. That's why I say crime vitiates all. Now, in the case of the MP, the argument the NDC or the minority may be making is that he is an MP, and for that matter, he has immunities. But the immunities of the MPs are limited to the performance of their parliamentary duties, other than the process of performing it, or they are on the way to go and perform it. In general, that is where the immunities are limited. I don't think that leading a demonstration is part of the parliamentary duties that the MPs need to perform. So for me, if you ask me, I would say that no, it is very constitutional. You see, there's one thing. There are three main arms of government, as we all know: the legislature, the judiciary, and then the executive. There are always conflicts. As human, we are going to have conflict today, conflict tomorrow, and conflict will not end in terms of rights, in terms of understanding an issue and all that. So, and the judiciary is always in the middle. That is the only place that if the other arms of government have differences, they run to. So if there is an order from that last arbiter, or the final arbiter is the courts. So if there is an order from the final arbiter that you must report, and you as a lawmaker refuses to go, of course what you are doing is that you are disrespecting the orders of the courts. And you see, if you have a last arbiter like the court, but that's the last place of resort. If you have that place, and that place is not disrespected, it is not respected, and it is disrespected, it means that we don't have anywhere to run to in terms of disputes. And in doing so, you are having a banana republic, or a republic of anarchy, where there is no law and where people do things the way they want to do it. But you see, the judiciary has served this purpose for all these years. So I think that my friends on the other side must look at the law again, and they must look at it again. It can never be unlawful for a court of properly constituted jurisdiction to order for the arrest.
Interesting. We'll stay put to give you more as and when development unfolds in that stead. On that very note, this is how we end today's edition of the Evening News right from our studios at the John Evans Fifiata Mills High Street in Accra. For more news, do well to log on to our website on adoanewsonline.com. Until then, my name is Jonathan Amma. Have a wonderful evening and enjoy the rest of our programs.